can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Dark Web finale by Zeb Wells, Adam Kubert, Francesco Mortarino, and Scott Hanna. Now, I know a lot of people are going to expect me to, especially since I've been covering a lot of Dark Web early on, I kind of fell off doing videos for Dark Web, not because I hadn't been enjoying it, but largely just because I've been really busy. You've probably heard me say this a lot over the course of some of the previous videos that I've put out, but yeah, a lot has been going on. There's a lot that's been going on with Dark Web. We have already witnessed the transformation of Eddie Brock as Venom, turning into his next logical progression of Bedlam, at least based on Al Ewing and Ram V's current Venom series. We've also seen Peter Parker banished to the realm of Limbo, as well as some of the X-Men, and we even got to see Peter Parker's influence affect one of the demons of Limbo, who decided to, instead of being a typical demon and trying to harm and harass and hurt people, he decided he wanted to be just like Peter Parker, even calling himself Wreck Rap, which is, you know, Parker backwards. He actually, it's funny because he looks more like if a Ninja Turtle was wearing a Spider-Man costume, which is cute in a lot of ways, and he's a very silly character to the point that even Spider-Man is annoyed by this character. Like, and I know some people probably won't take it this way, but the fact that I think you're supposed to be along with the idea that this character is annoying and Peter Parker is annoyed by this character. But yeah, once again, I don't think a lot of people catch nuance when it comes to that, but that's neither here nor there. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on. Ben Reilly has stolen Madelyne Pryor's soul scythe, which is, you know, her symbol of office that proves that she is the Queen of Limbo, and he has turned himself into King Chasm. He is now more powerful today than he has ever been in his publication history, and now it comes down to the big dukeroo between Spider-Man and King Chasm. Except it doesn't. It's actually not what happens here. There is no big dukeroo between Spider-Man and King Chasm. As a matter of fact, while they do actually have a little bit of a dust-up, it's actually not Spider-Man or even any of the X-Men who take down King Chasm. And it's one of those situations where I think a lot of people were expecting that fight. A lot of people were expecting Spider-Man to be the one to take him down. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to the very character that uplifted King Chasm, or rather Chasm into King Chasm, that is actually the true winner here, and that is Madelyne Pryor. And this kind of reaffirms my original suspicions that Dark Web was not just meant to be a vehicle for Spider-Man and Ben Reilly's rivalry with one another. While yes, it was kind of a small part of it, I feel like this whole thing was just a Madelyne Pryor come-up story hidden in plain sight. That's what this story was. And with that being known now, I'm actually even more fond of it than I was before. Dark Web was one of those story arcs where I know a lot of people were angry about it or just bothered by it for whatever reason, but it didn't bother me. I just thought it was, I thought it was a fun story. But now I actually like it a whole lot more because Madelyne Pryor is the one who puts King Chasm on his ass. And not only does she do that, but she does it in a way that's not like Madelyne Pryor. Madelyne Pryor used to be a very vengeful, spiteful person when she became the Goblin Queen, and now that she has had a chance to kind of live her own life and try and become her own person, and while yes, at some point she did discover that she still had some villainous tendencies, we talked about that in a previous video, and she has largely realized that she can just ask people for help. She doesn't have to take what she wants from people. She can legitimately count on her friends and family that she now recognizes, the X-Men that she now recognizes as her friends and family. She can count on them for the things that she needs without having to resort to villainy to get it from them. I like the idea that she is the one who puts Chasm on his ass because, let's be real, she's the Queen of Limbo. He is new money compared to her. She can take him down, and it's not that really big of a stretch that she was able to do it, especially since he was using a weapon that she created. It wasn't his own true soul weapon. He took it from her by spurious means. So with that taken into consideration, what really kind of elevated this and brought up a lot of questions for me in regards to what is the future of Madelyne Pryor and Chasm and Limbo going forward is that something happens in this issue that eerily reminds me of House of X, with a Limbo twist. You see, when we get to the end of this, Madelyne Pryor doesn't think that Chasm should be thrown in any human prison. He committed his crimes, while granted against the Earth, he also committed crimes against Limbo. And since also she recognizes that he is a problem that she helped create, she decides that she should be the one to punish him, placing him within a prison inside of Limbo, surrounded by illusions that should keep Chasm in some kind of a weird way of feeling. I don't really get the idea, but apparently Chasm doesn't seem to be too terribly thrilled about where he's at. Not only that, he's separated from Hallows Eve, who he teleported away from Limbo when he realized that he was in over his head. But what I like here is that not only is Maddie taking charge here and trying to find a better way for Limbo, to try and pave a new future for Limbo that isn't just Limbo's status quo as it's always been. What I like here is that she's decided to go mainstream. Just like in House of X #1, where we saw the striking image of a Krakoan embassy covered by vines and vegetation just sitting in the middle of New York, so too does an embassy for Limbo sit, a demonic spire of sorts, not unlike the demonic spire that we saw appear during some of the early to mid parts of Dark Web. But this is not a place that is meant to hurt anyone. It's a place that's meant to foster union between the Earth dimension and Limbo, with Madelyne Pryor acting not only as the queen of Limbo, but as the one who is reaching out to try and make peace with Earth in the wake of what was honestly a second Inferno. We even see some of the, possessed mailboxes and, vehicles and stagecoaches and all sorts of other, mundane, trappings of a city. They are all still just hanging out in New York, and people are just walking around as if it's nothing, like it's no big deal. And I like what Madelyne's mission statement here is that she has long said that Limbo is a place for the people that no one wants to face, for the realities that no one wants to face, for the possibilities no one wants to face, and that it's time for those things to be out in the open, to not be hidden away and treated as though they're shameful. And I like the idea that this is all about redemption for Madelyne Pryor, not just for herself, but for Limbo as well, and even the things that people garner close to themselves, that they keep cloaked in shadows and hide away from themselves, that they shouldn't. Whereas Charles Xavier, Magneto, and Moira had created Krakoa as a safe haven for mutant kind, so that they could live in peace and prosperity without fear of being hunted by those who hated them and feared them, Madelyne is going to be doing something very similar with Limbo, only instead of being specific to mutants, it's going to be specific to those who have been rejected by society, for those who have been cut off from the rest of the world, or more specifically, as she says, the rejected ones, the people who've just been turned away too many times. And I like the idea of Madelyne saying, yeah, I want to help people. This is a huge turn for Madelyne Pryor as a character, because for the most part, since she became the Goblin Queen just roughly around the time of the Inferno series back in the early 80s, she has largely been a bad guy. And now she's trying to be something better. She's trying to take the ideas of Krakoa that, once again, this is pretty much a shot at Charles Xavier and Magneto. Take the situation of Krakoa and make something better than Krakoa, where Krakoa was just for mutants, and more specifically, the mutants that Charles and Magneto found useful. Maddie is wanting to build something that is going to be for those who have been cast aside, and I think that is a far more altruistic purpose that she's dedicating herself to than what Krakoa could ever be at this point. In the early days, Krakoa seemed like the greatest of ideas, but I think we all knew that somewhere down the road, something bad was going to happen with it, that someone was going to mess it up, and that's what happens every time when there is some kind of a good idea put out there into the ether, where someone is trying to do the most good humanly possible and do right by their fellow human beings, and somewhere down there the idea gets corrupted, lost in translation somewhere, and the good thing just never materializes. Once again, it's probably a little too existential for a lot of people, but I'm here for it. So what does this mean? Does this mean that Limbo and Krakoa are going to have some kind of alliance with one another? Could be. We do know that in Sins of Sinister, granted that there's some alternate reality stuff going on there, it is stated that the mutants started cutting deals with the different demons and overlords of Limbo, I feel like this is going to be a kind of way to do that in the present actual timeline. That's going to be the one we have going forward without them having to throw in their lot with the likes of Dormammu or Mephisto or Shumagorath. But anyways, that's everything I want to talk about with Dark Web Dawn #1. If you enjoyed this video, do the YouTube thing, like, share, subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any of the videos I put out. We're going to try to hit 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube in 2023. So help a brother out, tap that little red button and become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. But in the meantime, let me know what you thought about Dark Web Dawn #1. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.